Good morning, Washington.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I did have the chance to look at my BlackBerry this morning, and I can say that things are well
What do you have?
in the other Washington, and the other part
First
of the
move, we'll move.
east side of the country.
I don't care.
And some of you may have, if you looked at the news this morning as I was looking at the local station, I believe that Secretary Duncan is in Philadelphia today with a very interesting team to do a listening tour in preparation for reauthorization. And that team is composed of the Reverend Al Sharpton and former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Isn't that an interesting group?
Oh, mercy, that'd be interesting.
Talk about it.
Press corps is hot on their heels today.
We thought No Child Left Behind was.
I just want to have my Deputy Director, Gregory Jackson, just stand at this moment. He is the guy that's responsible for a lot of the operations pieces of our site. I'm going to move through this. I had probably too many slides. You know how that goes. But I want to move through this fairly quickly because he also has an announcement that I wanted to make that will be of interest to the state of Washington at the end of this before David comes up. So I'm going to jump right into
Oh, I
this.
hope it's good news.
As you see, this part, I work in the Office of Elementary and Secondary Education. My Assistant Secretary reports to the Deputy Secretary, Tony Miller. And so you know that this presentation was developed by the Office of the Deputy Secretary. And so you are the first people to get to hear this presentation. And I just want you to know I've already put Bob Harmon on point. Bob is one of those folks that I hear from, he gives me feedback on the things that we do. And so I've said, Bob, now, because this is the first time that this is being presented in the country, I need you to give me a critique and tell me how this would work better with audiences, superintendents, and local district people, as well as State Department people. And so he's agreed to do that. And so I can assure you, although you won't be the beneficiary of it, the rest of the country will. And so, moving forward. Now, I want to focus on the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act and where we are with implementation. And so part of this presentation is going to focus on sort of covering some of the things we talked about in May and giving you an update in those areas, and then taking it to what the direction is now, and also presenting to you some of the funding streams that are available that you have some sketchy details about. We have a little bit more now, and also to provide some support for the planning processes that I know that you're going to be participating in while you're here. So you know that the purpose of the Recovery Act was to invest some $100 billion over a 2-year period, and with the purpose of both helping with economic stability and raising the bar on student performance. Both of these are supposed to go hand in hand in part because without the higher standards for our schools and a stronger education system in every state for every child, America will continue to struggle to compete globally even after this recession subsidizes. And we know that a good education is key to being successful in the work area and in life overall. So improving our America's school systems and graduating more students from high school into college or solid careers is supposed to be a tool to help us regain our footing internationally as the world's strongest economy. So in every phase, part of the responsibility of ours was to shore up the state budgets and to help stabilize the economy by saving and creating jobs. During this difficult time and this difficult economy, I know that you know better than anyone else the shortfalls that districts are experiencing, the state departments are experiencing, because the revenue streams are not generating the funds and the resources. We believe that this money is helping to provide some relief in a number of areas. As of the 18th of this month, the Department of Education had obligated over $67 billion from our. In October, we will receive nationally the official jobs numbers from each state. I believe these are due to be reported on the 10th of October. But what we're getting from media accounts, and there have been 1,000 or more articles published across the country, what we're understanding is that there's been approximately 255,000 education jobs saved or created as a result of the use of these dollars. From nearly all indicators, this money has appeared to be very critical to school systems during this dramatic economic crisis. The President has put forward a goal to produce a high percentage of college graduates in any other country in the world by 2020. Right now, that number is around 40% in this country that actually are college graduates. We hope to get this up to around 60%. This includes both four-year colleges and universities, as well as community colleges and technical schools. To achieve this goal, we have to think differently about education reform, focusing on spanning it across many levels. So we're moving to a focus that begins with early learning from 0 to 5 and continues to post-secondary education. In this presentation, we're going to focus on our K-12 agenda, and that's centered around the 4 reform priorities of this administration, sometimes referred to as assurances, and your chief and also the governor had to agree to these assurances to receive the dollars that you've received thus far. And we believe that when those assurances are implemented in a strategic and integrated way, it will help us to put us on the path to achieve the goals that have been established. The first area is with standards and assessments that ensure career and college readiness. World-class standards are the foundations on which states will build their reforms. The goal is to track our students from pre-K to college or careers. For example, setting benchmarks for improving teacher evaluation systems, student achievement scores, setting benchmarks and measures for special needs children, professional development initiatives, being able to track those with teachers so that you can document the types of training and experience that they've had that will be useful in helping to turn around schools. And also attempting to identify all of the best practices that can be put into play to help turn around low-performing schools. There's a growing consensus in our country, and I'm happy to say this time that it's not coming from the federal government, that our country needs common standards. This has been a grassroots effort that has come from the states. I was around, and some of you probably remember, during the Clinton administration, when the voluntary national test came up. And you probably remember the brouhaha that rose because it was coming from the federal government as another layer down over the states. And it was not deemed to be acceptable. This time it's coming from the states. And I think part of it is because of it's an economy of scale. If you think about 53 state education agencies, 50 states, DC, Puerto Rico, and the Bureau of Indian Education, all have a responsibility for developing, if you think about NCLB, assessments that are aligned to standards. That's a lot of money to have to invest for a general assessment, an alternate assessment, for accommodations for English language learners, or an alternate assessment for English language learners. And so I think that part of the rationale for moving in this direction is the economy of scale. Setting these standards is a national challenge that states should work on, or will compromise our future, and the department is going to be supportive of those efforts. Effective teachers and leaders who are critical to improving the achievement of every student. Good teachers and principals are essential to successful schools. Excellence matters, and we should honor it fairly, transparently, and on the terms teachers can embrace. It is the experience that the student has in the classroom, nurtured by his teacher, that can make a difference. It makes the difference. And it's important that the teacher is operating in an environment that is supported and nourished by the leader.